I'm the Policy and Projects Manager at EY Foundation. And with me today is my colleague Jared. I'll let him introduce himself.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jared Ruth, the Business Development Manager here at EY Foundation.
Great, thanks, Jared. So as Jack mentioned, we're here today to share with you a project that we did last year and a report that we recently published, as well as just talk about our wider work and how you can work with us. So without further ado, Jared, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide. Great, thank you. So just to give you a little bit of an overview about the foundation. So we're a charity that supports young people from low-income backgrounds in the UK to overcome barriers to employment. And our mission is to create a more inclusive economy by helping young people to develop the skills, confidence and aspirations they need to succeed. Since its establishment in 2014, so yes, that does mean that it's our 10-year anniversary this year, we have supported over 20,000 young people across England and Scotland through our employability skills programs. We have recently significantly broadened the scale of our ambition to include creating the systemic change needed to ensure that all young people eligible for free school meals have the same opportunity to succeed in the workplace. And our approach to achieving our ambition is based on using the insights generated from program delivery to scale our impact, collaborate with multiple stakeholders, including employers, corporate partners, schools, colleges, youth organisations, local and national authorities to support more young people. Also looking to harness digital delivery and new technology to reach more young people and prepare them for the future of work, as well as influence the policies and investment of both government and employers. And next slide. So in 2022, we commissioned research to understand the systemic barriers facing young people from low-income backgrounds entering employment in Greater Manchester, one of the areas where we deliver our employability skills programs. And from this research, we found that 30,000 young people from low-income backgrounds are at risk of being excluded from jobs in Greater Manchester's growth sectors. So this identified the need for a new approach that will increase employment opportunities for young people in the most deprived parts of the region. And central to our approach was to bring both sides of the labour market together to really understand and tackle both the practical and local barriers that employers and young people experience. So as part of this pilot, we targeted employers within the digital, financial and professional services sectors in recognition that these are both growth sectors in Greater Manchester, but also sectors that are traditionally harder for young people from low-income backgrounds to enter. Next slide. So our approach was designed in consultation with a range of stakeholders in Greater Manchester, and the findings were fed into the region's local skills improvement plan. And for those of you who aren't familiar, this is a Department for Education initiative designed to give employers a central role in shaping post-16 technical skills education. So as such, the recommendations generated are aimed at the Chamber of Commerce, who are the designated employer representative body leading the ERSA, employers, training.
Sorry, you're on mute because I think we muted everyone because someone's mic was sort of hot in the background.
No worries. I'll just go back to the last point. So as such, the recommendations from this project are aimed at the Chamber of Commerce, who are the designated employer representative body leading the LSIP, employers, training providers, careers education, information, advice and guidance services. But more widely, we're using these insights to help employers across other sectors in the UK improve socioeconomic diversity and inclusion by changing their recruitment approach and increasing their involvement in shaping provision and supporting the delivery of careers education. We're also using the insights to provide a blueprint for other LSIPs and other examples of place-based partnership models to adopt so that young people from low-income backgrounds are prioritised and are empowered to influence education, training and employment opportunities in their area. We're also using it to shape the evolution of the local skills improvement plan and future iterations of this policy initiative, as well as influence the general provision and careers education across the UK so that we can address those barriers and the dissatisfaction on both sides of the labour market. If you go to the next slide, please. Thanks, Jared. So as part of the pilot, we spoke to 9 employers of the tech, financial and professional services sectors to really understand their core recruitment requirements and their approach. These insights were shared with 50 young people aged 16 to 19 from across Greater Manchester, who in turn also shared their views about the challenges that they've experienced in accessing employment opportunities in the region. And all the young people that took part were eligible for free school meals, and they were sourced from a variety of organisations to ensure we had that diverse cross-section of young people, and also to ensure that young people beyond the usual suspects had an opportunity to share their views and exert influence. So if we go to the next slides. So the report goes into much more detail about the insights that we gathered from young people, but just to sort of give a bit of an overview, the insights broadly fall into three themes. So I'll provide a couple of examples, but as I said, the report provides much more detail. So firstly, young people experience inconsistency in the quality of careers, education guidance, and also experience a lack of opportunities. So this has led to ambiguity over career aspirations and future goals. Participants felt that the career pathways were narrow, given the example that if they enjoyed biology, they were encouraged to pursue medicine. So this made them feel that they were put into boxes they didn't fit in. Similarly, young people reported making decisions without fully understanding their implications. So participants recognised the advantages of doing an apprenticeship, but expressed concern over whether the wages would be able to offset the rise in living costs. Other barriers during the application interview process included a lack of experience to reference in job applications due to an inability to secure work experience placements and participate in extracurricular activities. Participants cited the pandemic, financial struggles, and a disparity in opportunities available across Greater Manchester as barriers. Additional barriers included the resilience to bounce back from unsuccessful applications, therefore lowering the self-esteem and confidence of young people from low-income backgrounds who are entering employment for the first time and don't have the experience or support network to navigate that better. On mental health and diversity, equality and inclusion, young people told us that they felt that probationary periods had a tendency to be really pressured, with a lack of coaching or opportunities to receive feedback. They also experienced financial barriers associated with job interviews and entry-level roles with poor pay. They also reported feeling excluded from opportunities with poor awareness of services that can offer that advice and support needed. To the next slide. So in June of last year, we held a summit which brought employers and young people together to discuss solutions and co-create recommendations for both employers and policymakers engaged in the local skills improvement plan. Today, I'm only going to go through the recommendations for employers, and it's worth noting that these are overarching recommendations. So I'll provide an example for what this looks like in practice for employers, but again, the report contains a longer list of actionable steps under each area. So the voice of young people from low-income backgrounds should be embedded within decision-making processes. This was our overarching recommendation. And to do this, employers should provide paid opportunities to work with young people from low-income backgrounds who would assess how the organisation works with that demographic from recruitment through to progression. So, for example, employers could provide work experience placements where young people are tasked with youth-proofing job adverts and the application process to make sure it's accessible for that demographic. Employer engagement in supporting the provision of high quality careers education to address labour market shortages and future-proof the workforce is vital. So paid work experience with the living wage for young people still in school, college is really important, recognising that there are financial barriers preventing this demographic from accessing opportunities lasting a week or more. Work experience should be meaningful, project-based work with opportunities to develop those soft skills, gain insights into the various functions of the organization and world of work. The traditional approach to job descriptions and the way that roles are advertised need to be overhauled to remove barriers experienced by young people from low-income backgrounds in accessing employment opportunities. So in practice, listing opportunities on sites such as Indeed or LinkedIn is unlikely to reach young people from a low-income background. A more targeted approach is needed. So in practice, circulating opportunities with schools, colleges, universities, local careers hubs, and other agencies in areas where there are higher levels of deprivation. Advertising rolling schemes on Instagram and TikTok that feature junior employees in a day in the life can really provide valuable insights that was, directly fed from young people on the day. The application process needs to be revised to incorporate inclusive practices and provide more guidance to create a better experience and outcome for actually both employers and young people from low-income backgrounds. So we recommend, and again, these recommendations are informed by employers and young people that attended the summit, that employers should avoid using competency-based questions in recognition of the disparity in opportunities available, which does disproportionately impact young people from low-income backgrounds. Instead, employers could opt for scenario-based or strength-based questions to assess whether a candidate's skills, competencies, and attributes are suitable. Employers should adjust expectations during the probationary period and increase the level of support during the onboarding process to ensure that young people from low-income backgrounds are equipped to thrive. So in practice, line managers should receive additional training to help set more realistic expectations and then also prepare them for the likelihood of being able to provide a little bit more extensive support and guidance to this demographic. This helps create an environment where employees feel guided, supported, and ultimately will increase their chances of success. And actually, as one young person put it, "You hired me, so stick with me." In terms of overcoming recruitment challenges and diversifying the workforce, really does require commitment to good employment practices. So employers in practice could provide various options for flexible work arrangements, such as adjustable work hours, remote work, or days where they are clear of meetings to support individuals with mental health struggles. These are just some suggestions, so it's always recommended that a collaborative approach is taken with employees to make those reasonable adjustments. At the foundation, we've been working with employers to help meet their social impact objectives. So I'll now pass over to Jared to explain how employers can work with us.
Brilliant. I hope everyone can hear me. Just, but thanks for that, Sarah. That was really, really insightful, and it's really great to kind of showcase the work that we've been doing. But I want to talk more about EY Foundation more broadly. That's only a snapshot of some of the work we do, and it's an incredible piece of work. But really want to talk about more broadly in the work that we do to engage with our young people and engage with employers. So our objective is we focus on building a better working world for young people, acting as a bridge between them and the corporate world. So we strive to empower and equip these young minds, especially those facing barriers with the necessary skills and work experience to kickstart a successful career. So over the last year, we've obviously looked at kind of the regional focus, our Breaking Barriers report. I know Sarah's gone into great detail of that on that one. But one of the things we do is amplifying our youth voice. So working with young people to ensure we respond to their specific needs. One of the ways we sought to do that is that we hire a youth advisory board. So this is a group of 12 young people aged 16 to 25 from across England and Scotland who act as advisors to EY Foundation. So they're really good soundboard for some of the work we're doing and to make sure the work we're doing is really kind of relevant to that particular demographic. Our most recent youth advisory board just hosted an event in Manchester called Overcoming Barriers, the Future of Work for Young People. And that was bringing together young people and employers within the Manchester area. We're looking at our future of work. So we did a project on the metaverse and looking at how looked at how identifying how the world of work might change following rapid developments in technology. So we did this in partnership with visual artist Alina Akbar, Ofcom, School of Digital Arts of Manchester Metropolitan University, and EY Metaverse. And this is really exploring the challenges and opportunities for social mobility in the metaverse. And we're always looking for new opportunities to kind of amplify that youth voice. So we have a network of young people of around 1,200 young people. So if you have, any job, we're always looking to give, relevant job opportunities, events, speaking opportunities to those young people. So we launched last year a podcast. It's called Careers Unlocked. So it's on all your streaming platforms. So do please have a look at that. And the aim of this is to provide young people perspective on the outlook of work. So again, we bring young people and industry experts to talk about the different challenges within on different topics. We released 6 episodes last year, plus some shorter minisodes. The topics include the metaverse and social mobility, and Ace an interview. Our next series is due to come out at the start of February. And we also host D&I events. So our last one was why wellbeing should be part of your D&I conversation. We had experts from a global law firm and a global recruitment firm, and we'll have another session in March. So I'll be sure to send some invites out to that. Our traditional fundraising activity is something we always work with, and that includes international and national treks and competitions such as our mud trial. Now, the last point is our employability programs. I really wanted to kind of have a real lens on this part. So as you'll see, there's our program overview. But one of the statistics I wanted to share with you is young people receiving free school meals are 3 times more likely to be unemployed at 27 years old. I think that's a really stark statistic. And really coming back to our objectives, we want to change lives. We not just by creating more equitable career opportunities, but also by supporting young people to broaden their horizons and reach their career aspirations. And we're on a mission to minimise the gap between opportunity and potential. Now, we do this by running evidence-based programs, which puts the needs of our young people at the core. And through doing this, we can demystify industries and make career pathways more accessible. Now, how do we do this? Now, you can see on here, I've really gone into detail about our Smart Futures program, and that's our most flagship program. So Smart Futures is an 8-day employability program followed by mentoring, which combines our expertise of delivering programs for young people together with industry leaders. Now, it's aimed at young people from low-income backgrounds or have been on free school meals, and it's aimed at young people aged 16 to 17 years of age. And it's really about developing their careers within defined industries and core employability skills such as leadership, presenting, and networking. Excuse me. So we split this out into 2 weeks. So week 1 is paid employability skills week, and it's really important to say that it's paid. So all of our young people are paid. We're trying to reach out to a underrepresented demographic. So it's really key that we pay these young people for that. And in that is a week of workshops to really kind of focused on employability and those industries. So some of those workshops include insight sessions, industry spotlights, leadership panels, mock interviews. Our young people are going to be interviewing throughout their career. So it's great to kind of start doing that, getting them used to that now. And our Dragon's Den challenge, where we set a group of young people a challenge and they present at the end of the week. And this also provides rich volunteer opportunities for our employers that are involved in our program as well. And then week 2 is our paid work experience. So our students are hosted for a 3 days work experience with our participating businesses. And then we set them a business challenge within that 3 days that really gives them the feel for what it's like to be within a corporate environment, because many of the young people that we represent don't always have that those sort of connections. We end the week with a graduation ceremony, and this is really celebrating the key learnings and takeaways from the program, and where we can give awards and really showcase the how far we've come in a short space of time. And then post program, we have a mentoring scheme as well. So all the young people that are on our program then get paired with a mentor who can help them with the next steps in their career, applications to university, to school leaver programs, things like that. So if I go on to our next slide, we've taken a sector-based approach with the work that we do. So as you can see, these are some of the current sector programs that we're running at the moment. It's not an exhaustive list. We have many more, and we're always looking to add to that portfolio. But one of the things we do is that we work with employers to change how they recruit and support young people. I know Sarah said this in our Breaking Barriers report, but it's always great to reiterate in some of the hands-on work that we actually do with our young people. And we look to support employers in their D&I and talent goals. And I think a crucial element towards achieving our objectives is our relationship with employers. And here's where many, who are sat on this call can become instrumental by providing, work placements, mentoring, and introductions to business networks. And together we can really help, this underrepresented group of young people successfully navigate their way into work. Just to point your eyes to the slide, as you can see, we have some statistics there, and I will share our impact report because it's come directly from there. But we actually won an award for best industry partner for our sustainable finance program, which focuses on the wealth management sector. So we're super proud of that. Now, these are some of the organisations that we worked with. Just a small snapshot of organisations we worked with in FY23. We worked with the Metropolitan Police, Talk, Linklaters, just to name a few. So Metropolitan Police, we actually run a bespoke programme for them. Okay, so 2023 impact. Now, these are statistics from our impact report, and I will share these post this presentation. But as you can see, we worked with nearly 3,000 young people across 2023. We worked with 353 employers, and we created just over 3,000 volunteer opportunities. You can see the demographics on there. Our gender split across all of our programs was, more towards young people that identify as female. And yeah, there's some really intriguing stats from there. So the ask from us is, how can we engage with yourselves to build a better working world with the EY Foundation? Can we, look at funding some young people? Can we, are people on here interested in hosting work experience? Are people on here, interested in providing mentors or volunteers to some of the work we do, and really creating those good news stories across your business, and supporting staff to drive social impact across D&I and ESG? So thank you very much for your time. And we just want to open the floor up to any questions. I'm Jared Ruth, Business Development Manager, and Sarah, Policy and Projects Manager, was speaking at the start.
Thank you both very much. That was a really insightful presentation. So whilst people think of some questions, and please feel free to stick your hand up. We did have one earlier from Sarah Mills in the chat, who has asked about how all of this is funded. So I don't know who wants to answer that, but I'll leave it.
Sorry, just getting my screen up. Yeah, I can answer that. So we're funded by corporate partnerships, and we're also funded by EY as well. So we have a number of different revenue streams. So we also funded by corporate partnership work, by grant giving work, and by EY. So that's the number of different ways that we get to do our work.
Thanks. George, I can see you've got your hand up, so if you want to come in.
Hello, good morning. Thank you very much for putting those slides together. It looks like an absolutely brilliant premise that you've set up here, and a lot of useful information for the future. I just had a question, because you mentioned earlier about the difference between competency-based questions and scenario-based questions as sort of being a barrier to underprivileged people. And ultimately, the way I sort of looked at them is that they're ultimately looking to achieve the same thing, which is to establish a skill set for further training. So I just wanted to understand what the difference was from your perspective on those two different sort of ways of going about it.
Yeah, sure, I can take that one. Thanks, George. So young people told us that with the competency-based questions, they often, if it was their first job, they didn't have the experience necessary to be able to answer those questions effectively. I think as well, having spoken to employers who were also involved in the pilot, I think it depends on how much guidance is given to young people as well. So if young people are told, you can draw upon experience from school, college, or other things that you've done, then that does help. But similarly, for young people from low income backgrounds, doing extracurricular activities isn't always possible because of those financial barriers. So this is why young people reported that they felt that scenario-based questions were better.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic. So Nicola's asked in the chat what percentage job outcomes are achieved by the Smart Futures program. I don't know if you have that information.
I can take that one. Okay, so with our Smart Futures program, it's primarily aimed at year 12s. So the majority of our young people that go on our program. So I should say, just for clarity as well, is our programs are run in Easter and summer holidays predominantly, usually the school holidays, because they're 2 weeks. Easter and summer is where they fit quite nicely. Now, because they're year 12s, they usually have to go back into year 13. So it's not a necessarily a metric that we track, because post year 13, some of our young people may go on to university, some of our young people may go on to school leaver programs. So we do have some metrics for another program, which Nicola, if I take your details, I can come back to. So we have another program called Your Future, which is aimed specifically at year 13s, and that there, any organization that wants to join that program must have a pathway into an apprenticeship or school leaver program for them to be able to apply to. So I can probably answer that question from a Your Future perspective, and I'll follow up with that, Nicola. With the Smart Futures program, because it's year 12, it can be a bit more difficult to track, just because of the nature of where they are in their education and career journey. So yeah.
Fantastic. Joe Lacey, if you'd like to come in and ask your question.
Hiya. It sounds absolutely amazing. What I'm wondering is, how do young people, do they get referred to you? Sorry if I missed this at the beginning. Do they get referred to you? Do they sign up themselves? Are they referred by other people? I know it's linked with the free school meals, which is really interesting, but I'm trying to translate it to how we could do it here in Plymouth.
Sure. So it's not, no one's actually referred. It's actually they actually go for a full application process. So the way it works is that our programs, so if we are running a program in Easter, we'll open our applications around October time. So then we open it across our different networks, our school networks. So we have a full programs team, which Sarah and I don't work in, but obviously we work very closely with. They have a large network of schools across mainly the major cities, London, Manchester, Birmingham, Glasgow, just to name a few. And then they'll go out to their careers team and give the opportunity there. Our programs team will also go out to schools and actually deliver sessions on career on Smart Futures and the benefit it can have. Then each young person is advised to apply for it. So as I said at the start, it's paid. So there is an incentive. There's incentivization for them to actually, go ahead and attend the sessions. They're also sector based as well. As I said, mentioned there's programs in banking, wealth management, tech, for example. So if any of these young people do have a real interest in those kind of sectors, or an interest in just finding out more about it, then they can go and apply. And then they go for a full application process. They go for an interview process with us as well. The interview questions are like 8 questions. They're usually motivational based. We know that we can't provide anything that's sector based, so it's really kind of find out their motivations, and then if they go past our pass mark, then we accept them onto our program. So for example, our tech and digital program this year is going to have 42 young people, which is probably one of our biggest programs to date. So that's really, really exciting. So yeah, I hope you answered that question. I think we can get, I'm not saying we can't get referrals, but that's one of the ways that we do it. And we use social media channels as well, just to reiterate that part.
And then my next cheeky ask, because this still sounds brilliant, is you've got this program running in lots of major cities, kind of more northern. I'm based down in Plymouth and Devon. What is there anyone I can speak to about maybe piloting this kind of thing in the south, or?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can take this offline and have a chat with you about it and see the best ways to do that. Because obviously there's the association with EY, we usually run programs where there's an EY office, because then we can host our week 1 within an EY office, and then week 2 is with our participating businesses. That's not to say that a participating business can't host a program within their offices, but Lacey, we can is it Lacey or Joe?
Yeah.
Sorry, it's the wrong way around. I couldn't really tell. Apologies. If we want to take it offline, again, I can have a chat with you and discuss different ways of how we've done it and how we've worked on bespoke programs and worked on in locations outside of the norm and what we've said. So again, I'm happy to take that offline with you.
I'll send you an email. That's brilliant.
Yeah, please do. No worries.
Okay, fantastic. We're sort of slightly behind time, and just quickly, I'm sorry about the issues with the team thing. I'm not sure what happens there because it happened last time as well, and it seems half the people get the right link and half the people get the wrong link. But next time I'll send an email out to everyone with the correct link so everyone's in the right place. There's just 2 questions from the chat before we move on to the next speaker. So the first one is about the accelerator program that's referenced in the last one of the slides. And then also, if you're not tracking employment outcomes, what outcomes do you really look for to know that you've moved the dial for a young person?
Okay, sure. So with the accelerator program, so we've actually redefined that slightly. So it's actually now going to be called Step into Business, and we're just piloting that. We're piloting that, I believe, in May. So that's going to be more for social entrepreneurs. So for young people who want to have a business and want to potentially gain seed funding. I'm happy to take that one offline because again, it's still in the pilot phase, and as I said, we're no longer doing the accelerator program, so I can give you some more information on that point. Now, if we're not tracking out employer outcomes, what do we look for? So all of our young people have a net promoter score. So at the start of the program, and again, I can share our impact report, and I can go through this with you in a bit more detail, Camilla. But at the start of the program, we get all our young people to fill out a questionnaire on things like, how are your presentation skills, how are your communication skills.
I'm on the more interesting one now.
on presentation skills and et cetera and so on. And then we then review it post program. So then we see an increase in net promoter scores. One of the things we're looking to do more of is utilizing our young personal network. I referred to it before. There's about 1,200 young people in that, and then kind of engage with them again post year 13. So there can sometimes be a challenge with reconnecting with some of them, but there are quite a lot of young people that are interested in those in those conversations. And also we're looking to send more employer opportunities, whether that's job opportunities they can apply for, event opportunities, speaking opportunities, a number of opportunities to then apply for them, and then we can kind of monitor how active that kind of that group is, for example. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, happy to pick this up offline.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thanks both. It was a really great presentation, and I think really informative. I'll be sending out a follow-up email, so if you want to send me the links to the various reports and the slides, and if you want to include your emails in that as well, I can put them in there for everyone to see. So Jagdeep, if you'd like to come online, and we'll have our next presentation.
Good morning, everyone. Just bear with me, Jack. I'll just share my screen if that's okay.
Yes, of course.
Can we all see that?
Yeah, it's up for me.
Is that up? Okay. So thank you very much, Jack. Thank you for the invitation to ERSA as well. So what I'm going to really talk about today is around the Multicultural Apprenticeship Alliance, and then also some other initiatives within sort of promoting equity, diversity, and inclusion in apprenticeships and skills and sort of the wider employability sector. And in terms of some context, in terms of why we got to where we got to, and sort of the rationale as to why the Multicultural Apprenticeship Alliance and our other multicultural initiatives was set up. So my name is Jagdeep Saur. I work for the Pathway Group. The Pathway Group are an independent training provider, been going sort of about 22, 23 years. Started in East Birmingham, delivering ESOL, and have grown to an organisation now delivering across circa 8 combined authority areas, delivering apprenticeships, traineeships, learner loans, boot camps, restart programs across sort of these 8 combined authority areas. So grown to quite a large organisation. But the Pathway Group is sort of our parent company. But around sort of 2017, 2018, there was some real issues really what my boss Safraz Ali saw around accessibility and equity of opportunity for individuals from the multicultural background, accessing real good value opportunity, and mainly that was due to their ethnicity and obviously due to the demographic in terms of where they lived, and sort of their education and educational attainment. So what I tried to do really is just sort of bring some context in terms of the most recent stats that I could find, and there's a real issue with data and evidence around this, well, more data than evidence really. But if you just have a look at that, and we'll share the slides anyway, but how disproportionate the multicultural individuals are in terms of accessing. This is just looking at apprenticeships really by ethnicity. But if you just have a look, in terms of the population of Asians, it's 9.6 within England, whereas 5.8 are accessing apprenticeships. Similarly with black and similarly with mixed. But if you look at sort of the white population, 81% population, but 86.7 are accessing apprenticeship. So you can see how disproportionate that is. And these are just some sort of numbers really. So the numbers are quite stark in relation to a take up of apprenticeships. And these are 2021, and it's a census data. But again, the numbers really haven't really changed that much for the positive. And this is sort of by ethnicity, sort of compared with the overall population and the true picture really, which is similar sort of the sort of graph slide. So the Multicultural Apprenticeship Alliance. So we've looked at sort of evidence. We've looked at lived experience. We've run a number of events, workshops, as I'll sort of explain a bit further. And essentially, why are multicultural individuals not accessing apprenticeships or employability opportunities? So FE and HE are traditionally the preferred pathways. They're really traditional. It's an education piece, it's an engagement piece, but ultimately it's that understanding of what an apprenticeship is within sort of the multicultural community. Just going back really sort of the equitable and accessibility issues, which is one of the reasons why the Multicultural Apprenticeship Alliance was set up, because there's real lack of equity of opportunity and real accessibility issues around opportunity. And that runs very similar to the conversation that, and sort of the presentation that we've just had from colleagues at EY Foundation, is around how equitable are opportunities really for the multicultural or underrepresented and marginalized communities. It's about understanding and appreciating the cultural background and differences, multicultural individual, and those are quite vast. And understand the apprentice, and understand an apprentice and the religious background and differences as well. There's also varieties of sort of socioeconomic backgrounds. So predominantly, if we're looking at those from multicultural background, and in essence who the Multicultural Apprenticeship Alliance is looking to support, they come from a low socioeconomic background. So it's about how do we support those individuals in terms of whatever their issues are in terms of equity and accessibility, whether it's that, in terms of applying for an apprenticeship or applying for a job, what are those issues, and understanding that. I did touch on education establishments in terms of where they did go to school or where they did go to college, and also their education attainment as well. So as you'll find from sort of individuals from a low socioeconomic background, their education attainment's pretty low as well. And then differences in family life. So understanding, the extended multi-generational families, what care and responsibilities they have, and the nuances around that as well, really, and the intersectionalities that come within sort of differences in families' lives. And then we just looked at sort of what are sort of taboo subjects, or the understanding of taboo subjects. So, neurodiversity being one, is what is the understanding of individuals who are neurodiverse or have some form of disability, and how can employers ensure that the opportunities are equitable for these individuals as well. And then the language, also the language barriers. So that's in essence why the Multicultural Apprenticeship Alliance was set up. It's formed in 2017, originally as a BAME Apprenticeship Alliance, phased out the terminology BAME, last year, sorry, in 2022, and it was sort of rebranded the Multicultural Apprenticeship Alliance. It's formulated really on 3 pillars. So it's education, engage, and policy and advocacy. So education is the first one. So how do we work with employers, our training providers and FE colleges? You'll see from the sort of varied patrons that we have as Multicultural Apprenticeship Alliance. How do you actually work with these individuals, but also educating the parents of an aspiring apprentice from the multicultural background? How do we educate them and talk to them about what an apprenticeship is? And then the natural sort of follow on is around sort of engagement. So how do you engage with these individuals? So we engage through a variety of methods. So we're very sort of, we utilize social media quite a lot. We get invited to a lot of webinars, a lot of seminars, a lot of conferences. We do quite a number of blogs, quite a number of newsletters, but we're also embedded within the community as well. And we ensure that our patrons are embedded within the community, or we support them to become embedded in the community in terms of how best to engage with the multicultural community and individuals within the multicultural community where apprenticeships or skills provision would be most beneficial for them. And then the third pillar is policy and advocacy. So as you'll see, the next couple of slides, I'll show you some of our patrons and the number of large organisations, FEHE institutions, public-private sector employers, awarding bodies, and they're very influential. But also the individuals who work for them are very influential and real thought leaders and experts within this field as well. So we think through our data, through evidence gathering, through lived experience, through a delivery of various pilots and projects and test and learn initiatives, that we've really got an opportunity here to influence local, regional and national policy, and we're working quite hard to do that. So these are some of, well, the majority of our organisations that we work with. As you can see, the variety of sectors, a variety of public and private sector organisations. You can see we have FEHE establishments as well, and awarding bodies also. So these are the organisations who we currently work with, and we're continually growing as well as an organisation as the interest grows and our impact grows as well. You can see more and more organisations wanting to be involved in the Multicultural Apprenticeship Alliance. In addition to our patrons, we have a number of strategic partners and advocates. These are organisations that really can support with our strategic work and really sort of that high level work in terms of that data, that evidence, that lived experience that I spoke about. That was test and learn initiatives, where we can actually gain some rich data, gain some rich evidence, and then present that to commissioners, present that to government, present that to real stakeholders within the multicultural community as well, to say, well, this is the benefit, these are the benefits of apprenticeships, these are benefits of skills provision. As you can see, it's a variety. There's sort of a number of sort of organizational bodies as well, etc. And then really ambition for quarter 4 of 23, which has just gone, and then coming into 24. So I started here August 2022, and it took me a while really to get my head around in terms of who we are and what our objectives are and what we really should be doing. So we've had quite a lot of impact over the past sort of year or so, once we've established ourselves. And we've got that niche in the market really, in terms of who we are and what the cohort that we're looking to support. But as I mentioned, we bring a lot of intersectionalities and a lot of nuances on board. So we work with the wider community as well. So what I'm looking to do is to publish our impact report. We are also launching a Multicultural Apprenticeship Alliance Equity, Diversity and Inclusion Employer Pledge. And we'll be launching that this month in January. And that's really not a legal binding document, but it's just to ensure that our patrons and any organisation and employers who we're working alongside are actually working and are really invested and committed to become an equitable, diverse and inclusion employer. We are going to rebrand, and it's going to be a very soft rebrand because we feel that we can extend our remit, particularly around what's been happening with boot camps and T levels, and looking at the sort of holistic picture really of somebody who's going into employment, whether they utilize an apprenticeship or whether they're looking to progress within work. And it's very much around sort of utilizing boot camps and T levels and that accessibility into apprenticeships and skills provision, but also ensuring that we have that safety net. So if somebody does drop out of work from our sort of our patrons, that they have that skills provision to get them back into work. But also it's very important with regards to sort of that social mobility piece, which is that sustained employment and that sustained progression in work. Hence why we're going to be rebranded to the Multicultural Apprenticeship and Skills Alliance. We are holding a Multicultural Apprenticeship Alliance inaugural seminar and conference on the 11th of June, and that's going to be, and I'll go through a bit more detail on that in a later slide. But again, we're hoping to get between 250 and 300 people there, and I will send more details about that for anybody interested in attending. We're also, what's going to run alongside the Multicultural Apprenticeship and Skills Alliance is the Multicultural Apprentice Network. We do have one of our other initiatives is our Multicultural Apprenticeship Awards, which are a real sort of celebration of talent diversity in apprenticeships. Probably the largest apprenticeship awards ceremony within the sector. Last year we had over 750 people attend, over 400 nominations, and over 40 awards. So a real sort of celebration of talent diversity. For those that have been in the sector a while, it is the highlight of their apprenticeship year in terms of the awards. But what happens there is we have, as I mentioned, 400 nominations. We have a cohort of multicultural apprentices who are so there's such a font of knowledge, sort of font of rich lived experience, and we want to provide them a forum and a platform for them to network, but also a forum and flat platform for them to share their best experience, but also a forum and platform for our Multicultural Apprentice Alliance patrons to access. So whether they're looking to run a project or a pilot, or whether they're looking to have a webinar or a seminar where they want a Multicultural Apprentice Alliance to come and talk about their journey as an apprentice. And it's so impactful having these individuals there that they can actually talk from their experience in why they chose an apprenticeship and the benefits of choosing an apprenticeship. So we're launching that early this year, and then expanding really our strategic work really around advocacy and policy. As I say, in my previous role, through that advocacy and policy and through data evidence, etc., I've really seen some great examples of where we've been able to influence not only local and regional, but also national policy as well, up to government level. And then further our relationships with strategic partners, and including sort of creating bespoke programs. So an example of a bespoke program is University College Birmingham. As are a number of FE and HE type establishments, they're expanding their apprenticeship provision, or also sort of prioritizing apprenticeships. So what we did, we delivered a 2-day bespoke training program to their academics, circa 150 academics, around understanding apprenticeships of the higher sector, HE sector. I mentioned the Multicultural Apprentice Network, that's something else that we're doing. And then the Apprenticeship Branding Conference, which will be the inaugural Multicultural Apprenticeship Alliance Conference. And in terms of branding, it's about how to amplify your brand, not around anything marketing, but it's about how to amplify your brand, your organization, to engage, employ, attract these individuals from the multicultural background in terms of coming on board with an apprenticeship, and how to enrich your process as well. And in terms of the Pathway Group, we do run a number of other initiatives. As you can say, it's sort of wide and varied, but the relevant ones really here are, in addition to the Multicultural Apprenticeship Alliance and the Multicultural Apprenticeship Awards that I've touched on, we have the Festival Apprenticeships, where we run 3 events one in London at the Oval, one in Birmingham at Millennium Point, and then we run one in Manchester at Manchester Met Uni. Those 3 events have over sort of 80 employers attend. They are real career roadshows, so we have a stage where there's a number of presentations, employers presenting, some key stakeholders presenting as well. And the footfall for each of those events is about sort of over 5,000 per event as well. And it's a great opportunity for aspiring apprentices to come in, either sign up for an apprenticeship or find out more about an apprenticeship. And then I also run the Apprenticeship Diversity and Social Mobility Forum, which is a thought leader webinar where we get individuals talking about their journey and how important social mobility is. So an example of that would be Stephanie Boyce, who was a past president of the Law Society. She spoke about her journey from sort of attending a comprehensive school, even prior to that, coming across on Windrush to going to the top of her ladder. And she gave sort of 45, 50 minutes of her time. And just to sort of give an example, really, how invested individuals are in terms of what our what our vision and our mission is and what our actions are, and giving their time and how important social mobility is to them. And that's me, really. So that's really an insight into not only the Multicultural Apprenticeship Alliance, but also some of the other work that we do around equity, diversity, and social mobility.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Jagdeep. That was really great to hear about. We've had one question in the chat from Ben, and he is essentially asking what the key things are for an apprenticeship provider to do well in order to attract and serve underrepresented young people.
I think so. So what we find is there's a real issue around that understanding of what an apprenticeship is, in terms of there's a real not a stigma, but there's a real issue around trying to change people's perceptions from the multicultural background in terms of the traditional FEHE route ways. So it's about how do you go about that, and you need to really embed yourself with the community and understand what the community actually needs. There's that real need for, hence why we're sort of relaunching the Multicultural Apprentice Network, is there's a real lack of role models, and there's real lack of sort of mentors within the apprenticeships from the multicultural background. So it's about trying to forming those. And I think the other opportunity is, if you are able to, and we are working with some of our patrons, is to really look at your policies and your process in terms of how individuals can apply for an apprenticeship within your organisation, because it's very challenging. An example would be, we have somebody who's part of the Multicultural Apprentice Network who, there were 400 people applying for one apprenticeship role. They achieved that, but again, that's not very equitable, and that's not very accessible. And the chances of them getting that apprenticeship opportunity, somebody from a low educational attainment, are very, very challenging. And the other so we concentrate a lot around sort of level 7 degree level apprenticeships. And I think it's right to do that at the moment, because that's how we're going to really form these role models. But in sort of year 2, year 3 of my role, I really want to concentrate on those that are in danger of missing out, that haven't got that real opportunity, really, that equity of opportunity and equality of opportunity, and in danger of missing out and falling out of the system. So that's something that really concentrating on as well. So and that's a larger cohort than your degree level apprenticeships.
Fantastic, thanks. If there's any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat or put your hand up. Ryan.
Hey, not really a question, but just felt like a good thing to flag in this forum, and maybe we should share more information after, if that's all right, Jack. Yeah, it's been such an inspiring couple of presentations, actually, and I just wanted to flag to everybody, because it feels like the right sort of audience, that Youth Futures Foundation, where I work, are kicking off some research, actually, on exactly the sort of discussion, Jack, that you just led us through, really, on the kind of experiences of young people from multicultural backgrounds getting into and then within apprenticeships. So looking at the data, which is kind of patchy, as you pointed out, and qualitative research on that. I think probably given time, it's best to share some details outside of that, and we should definitely connect in. So I'll make some reach out to a few people after this. But yeah, if anyone is interested in that, that's kicking off now, and there's a real moment to shape what that looks like and where it's going. And I'd be really keen for as many people as interested to get involved. So I'll drop my email address in the chat, and if anyone is keen, please do get in touch.
Brilliant, thanks, Ryan.
Can I just sort of follow up on that? So as part of our strategic work, we are working with Youth Employment UK as part of the Youth Voice Census. As Ryan, you mentioned, the data and the evidence is really, really patchy. So we're really looking for that qualitative and quantitative data that we can get. We're working with Ryan, sort of Youth Futures Foundation, your colleagues such as Lecken and Barry and people such as that, in terms of what we can do around apprenticeships and really that focal point for the multicultural community as well. So that's a real large chunk of our strategic work on advocacy and policy work.
Brilliant. So last chance for any other questions for Jagdeep, and then we'll move on to the discussion. I appreciate at the turn of the hour, a few people might have to jump off, but if you do have time to stick around for the discussion, it's really great to get the views of people in the room on the topic of the month. Okay, I will get the Menti slides up in that case.